So I'm going to turn this on over to Ellie, who developed the application.
And you can flip and see the other rules for non-board approved. I'm just going to, for demo purposes, stick with this view right here. And we have the rules based on min and max of the transaction, how much, what amount would the transaction amount to, and a little bit of a descriptive text over here explaining which approval line matrices should apply to this rule. So we're going to have approval lines that are based on, and this is a text, human legible representation of the approval lines that apply to this rule. So for example, over here we have a board approved transaction between $10,000 and $50,000 will have to be, requires approval from one authorized signer and any one member of executive team, which includes all of these individuals. If we expand this rule, and you can slow me down or speed me up as you wish, but I just want to step through the basics before we get into the actual application. So over here we have the rule that indicates it applies to a purchase order, and or vendor bills we can apply it to, and the transaction amounts. But underneath, I want to draw your attention to the bottom over here. It actually, this is the human legible text up here, but the system assigns a matrix to this rule, and the matrix represents sequencing. So there's, you see highlighting a sequence column over here, which tells us 10 is just the minimum for this, so it leaves us some leeway to squeeze in some other sequencing if we wanted to later on, but 10 would be the initial sequence moving up, and as the text above says, any one authorized signer, so there's one authorized signer that's required. We have an authorized signer, which is a role, and the number 1 over here, which tells us that we only need one authorized signer, as well as PTX executive management team, also one signer from that list, and all these individuals would be assigned to that role. Now, when we talk about employees and roles, I set up a couple of samples, okay, which we have all the roles loaded in the system, but I didn't have enough names to come up with an exhaustive list of all the roles and employees. So I came up with a small list over here for demo purposes. Obviously, this is what you've been working on. This would represent all of the users of your application, both users, business owners of the transactions, as well as the approvers would all be assigned in this. Oh, actually, not the users, but the actual approvers would be assigned in this list. And here you have, for example, I just try to give it a name so you understand. This is a user over here, John. John is an authorized signer. His name is John Authorized Signer, and he is assigned to the role of BTX Authorized Signer, as well as myself and CEOs, co-CEOs, another member, and this list is not exhaustive, so it would have included also another couple of rows for the CEO 1 and 2 under this role as well. But this is just so we can get through the demo today. I would draw your attention also to one more column over here, which is the backup user. As needed, we can assign backup users to employees, to users, and we will have the users will be mapped. Everyone's mapped to the role as you see in front of you, and that backup user takes on for whatever period of time you wish to keep them on, if it's vacation, switch, or whatever it is. So Jack Executive would take on my roles, any roles that apply to me that I'm assigned to. Jack Executive would take on those roles throughout the course of however long I'm away or whatever the needs are.
Some of the users have multiple roles. What role would you put?
Perfect. So co-CEO, for example, let's call him CEO 1 because I didn't have the name, so the vendor is set up as CEO 1. So for example, here my list here wasn't exhaustive, but here you have BTX co-CEOs and COO, CFO. So I would simply go in here and say, look, CEO 1. Excuse me. Hit the enter key. CEO 1 is also a member of this list, as well as CEO 2. Once I'm here, I'll just So you can see this, CEO 2, because you have co-CEOs, right? I mean, these would all be names, but obviously I didn't have the name ahead of time. But so here we go, and we look at the list now. CEO 1 is part of this role as well as the other roles of PTX and co-CEO. So we're clear on this. So basically, these are the roles that, again, these are not NetSuite roles that you see up here, administrator, etc. These are roles that are simply for the use in the application, which again drives this list right here.